In New Super Mario Bros., almost every song features one particular sound. But who actually sang those notes? It's an interesting mystery, right? But that's not all. Did you notice the Morse code hidden in Wii Sports Resort? Or the demonic message in the music to one of Nintendo's DS games? Today, I want to solve some Nintendo music mysteries, along with rounding up some of the most hidden Easter eggs from within all of Nintendo's music. As Mario puts it, let's go! Number 1. Let's start by talking about Donkey Kong Country, specifically the third game, Dixie Kong's Double Trouble. Now, this game features a character called Wrinkly Kong, who's the wife of Cranky Kong. And in Donkey Kong Country 3, you visit Wrinkly Kong each time you want to save your game. She resides in a number of these save caves, as they're known. And each time you enter a save cave, Wrinkly will be doing some kind of activity. Sometimes she's exercising. Sometimes she's fast asleep. But sometimes she'll be playing video games. And take a close look at the console she's using. It's a Nintendo 64. That's right, by the time of Donkey Kong Country 3's release on the SNES in November 1996, Nintendo's next console, the Nintendo 64, had actually been out in Japan for about 5 months. And so that is the console that Wrinkly is playing. But that's not all, because listen to the music that plays when she's doing that. That's right, it's the castle theme from Super Mario 64. It appears that Super Mario 64 is the game that Wrinkly Kong is playing from within her save cave. It feels super weird to hear this N64 song playing within an SNES game, but that's exactly what is happening here. Number 2. Next up, I want to talk about Super Mario 3D Land. So, 3D Land features 16 worlds in total. The first 8 are regular worlds, and the second 8 are special bonus worlds full of more challenging levels. The final world in the game is called Special 8, and here's its theme music. Now, that music might sound familiar, especially if you're a big fan of Flipnote Studio. Back on the DS, to promote their stop-motion animation app, Nintendo created their very own Flipnote animation, which they called the Mario Drawing Song. There's versions of this song in Japanese, English, French, Spanish, Italian, German, and Dutch. And just take a listen to a clip from the song.
Take a page and a pen, draw a big mushroom. Two more. Draw a cloud under here, now we'll add some coins.
Does it sound familiar? Super Mario 3D Land's composers reused that melody for the Special 8 map screen music. It's a pretty neat and pretty obscure musical reference.
It's me, Mario.
Number 3. Alright, next we have one of the most legendary musical Easter eggs from any Nintendo game, and it's found in the DS game WarioWare Touched. So, one item you can unlock in the game is the turntable, which lets you speed up and slow down songs from the game's soundtrack by dragging this DJ turntable using the touchscreen. Sounds simple enough, except this feature caused a bit of a controversy around the time of WarioWare Touched's release. Because if you take Ashley's theme, one of the 3 selectable songs, and speed it way up, a secret hidden message can be heard. I have granted kids to hell. That sounds pretty out of place in a WarioWare game, doesn't it? Well, it turns out that the cause is simple. When you spin the record really fast, the game starts skipping over some of the words in the song. Here is the verse in question, and if we highlight just the beginning of each line, we get I have granted kids to hell. It's a weird coincidence that caused a minor controversy back when the game was released, so much so that Nintendo Power magazine had to issue an explanation for why this bizarre message was featured in a WarioWare game. Number 4. Next up, let's talk about Mario Kart 8, and specifically the course Water Park. Now, if you drive through most of the course, you'll eventually get to this underwater teacup ride. And I'm going to slowly drive into the middle of the teacups and take a close listen to the music that starts playing. Now, it's a little hard to hear over the level music, but if you've played a lot of Super Mario 64, then this music may sound familiar, because in the stage Big Boo's Haunt, there's an underground merry-go-round with music that sounds like this. And so, returning to Mario Kart 8's Water Park, take a second listen to that music. That's right, the game's composers reused Big Boo's merry-go-round theme for the underwater teacup ride. Number 5. Now, while we're talking about Mario Kart, I've got another one for you, this time from Mario Kart Double Dash. So, in some of the older Mario Kart games, multiple courses share the same piece of music. If you play the courses Dino Dino Jungle and DK Mountain from Double Dash, you'll notice that the music is the exact same. But it's my theory that this music track was intended for DK Mountain, and I have a reason for that claim. You see, listen to this section of the music in question. And then, let me play you a different song from a totally different game, that being Donkey Kong Jr., the NES game. Listen to the music for stage 1. It's the same theme, the same melody heard in Double Dash. It's even in the same key. You see, when Double Dash's composers were tasked with writing the music for DK Mountain, they seemingly included this classic DK Jr. melody as a kind of homage. And that is why I say that this was always a Donkey Kong piece of music, first and foremost. Number 6. Now, let's switch series and talk a little bit about Wii Sports Resort. I've talked about secret Morse code messages a few times before on this channel, and there's another set of messages hidden within Wii Sports Resort. In the flyover mode, if you fly to the area near the lighthouse, known as the Candle, you'll start to hear some rhythmic beeping, which sounds like this. That beeping is Morse code, and it spells out this message. But that's not the only set of messages. There's also... And lastly, there's this. Now, the number of people playing Wii Sports Resort who are also familiar enough with Morse code to decode these messages as they hear them must surely be close to 0. And yet, Nintendo included these messages nonetheless as a neat little secret. Number 7. Next up, let's talk about New Super Mario Bros. All 4 New Super Mario Bros. Titles feature a very distinctive sound within their soundtracks, the pa or bar sound effect. Every time this sound plays, enemies will dance around or jump. It's a fun way of making the game feel more playful. But what exactly is this iconic sound? Where does this strange singing voice come from? Well, to uncover that mystery, we first need to track the sound down to its very first appearance within a Nintendo game. Because while everyone associates the pa with the new Super Mario Bros. Games, some viewers might have already realized that it made its debut years earlier in Super Mario 64. Listen to the jingle that plays when you enter a painting. And for comparison, here is the pa sound from New Super Mario Bros. It's the exact same. So where did Super Mario 64 get the sound effect from? Well, the game's soundtrack was written entirely by Koji Kondo, and around the N64 era, Kondo began experimenting with sample packs. In other words, CDs full of unique and interesting instruments and noises from around the world. One of those CDs was called Best Service Voice Spectral Volume 1, which is full of unique voice-based sounds. Sounds like these.
Shooby-doo.
And take a listen to track 53 of that CD.
Pa, 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 pa.
Sounds pretty familiar, right? Koji Kondo heard this pa sound and liked it enough to use it within the soundtrack of Mario 64. Then, a few years later, he was the one who composed the ground theme for New Super Mario Bros. On the DS, and when he wrote that piece of music, he reused the vocal sample from Mario 64. And the rest was history. Number 8. And let's finish by talking about Super Mario Maker 2. Now, the game's online functions are enveloped within what's known as Course World. And Course World has its own musical theme, which sounds like this. Now, if you've played a lot of Super Mario World, then there's a chance this theme might sound familiar. And that's because the Course World melody is identical to the theme from Mario World's Special World. It's even in the same key. What a neat little homage to a classic Mario piece of music in a game which is full of homages to Mario's history. But there's more. The Course World music is actually adaptive. It changes based on what menu you're looking at. If you select Network Play, you get this funky, upbeat version of the Special World theme instead. But here's the thing. If you select any other menu, you get a different version of the Course World theme, this time without the Mario World melody. It's completely gone. So that means that you could spend hours browsing for courses and never know about the reference to Super Mario World. It's so easy to miss. But that goes for pretty much every secret and Easter egg I've talked about in this video. They're super subtle, so easy to miss. But that means that when you do spot something hidden in the music, some reference to an old game or reused melody from the past, you get a rush of satisfaction. It's so obvious how much love Nintendo pours into their music. No one does video game music quite like Nintendo. And there we have it. Those are 8 of my favourite Nintendo music Easter eggs and secrets. If you have any that I didn't talk about that you think I should have included in this video, then let me know in the comments below, because I can definitely make another one of these videos in the future, including various people's suggestions. I really hope you enjoyed this video. And while I have you here, just before you go, I want to quickly talk about Patreon. Yeah, you probably know the drill by now, but I've actually recently relaunched my Patreon page with a new $5 tier, which gets you access to a monthly bonus video where I talk about more of my personal opinions about games I like, and it's kind of more free and unscripted than a normal Thomas Game Docs video. I hope that if you watch them, then you will also enjoy them. You also get access, if you join my Patreon page, to my Patreon feed where I give updates on videos, and also how the channel's going in general. You know, if there's delays, then I'll let you know about it and hopefully keep you informed. Plus, you get access to my Patreon-only Discord server where other Thomas Game Docs fans can chat about Nintendo games and other stuff in general. It's been really fun taking part in that community. So, if you want to help financially support this channel and help keep Thomas Game Docs going into the future, then this Patreon page is a great way to do that. Thank you very much for watching this video, and I will see you next time. Bye! A special thanks to my $10 patrons: Cyprian Eov, Daryl Jarrow, Eli Birnbaum, Evan Kinney, Fallen AJ, Floaty Oats, Jim Gilsonan, Joseph Maltby, Kelly Wright, Lucas Little, Michael Gunter, Michael J. HD, Nix Lovell, and ZH Cupcake.